And the thing that worries me most about that is I've actually got some recent experience of thinking that bad ideas are good ideas, so I'm really not sure what way this is going to go. But a recent example is that about 3 or 4 months ago, my boss of 18 years asked me for some really honest feedback about his leadership. So I thought it would be a good idea to give him some really honest feedback about his leadership. And up until that point, I'd never seen a P45 before in my whole life. but of course I have now. So why stand-up comedy? There was a man earlier who said he was quite into statistics, so here's one for you. I was talking through my options with some friends, and one of my friends pointed out to me that this is a statistic about comedians. So, of all professions that there are in the world, statistically, there are more comedians that progress on to become alcoholics. And I thought, well, my career so far today, I've quite liked to be able to take a long-term view and be quite pleased with the prospects that I can see in front of me. So I thought this deserved a little bit more exploration, so here I am today. My mum had some really, really good advice for me. She said, just remember that you've only got 30 seconds to make that first impression with people. So if you don't like it so far, ladies and gentlemen, the next 4 minutes are going to feel probably quite long. Now, it's not just stand-up comedy that I'm exploring, so one of the other things that I'm doing at the moment is I'm also writing a book. It's about this tall, sort of 6'2", red-headed guy. His name's David. He's quite slim, he's amazing at sport, and all the girls absolutely love the guy. So, as you can tell, it's a work of fiction. But one of the things that I find absolutely fascinating is when you tell people that you're writing a book, the reaction that it causes them is that, for some reason, you automatically seem to be elevated to the role of successful author. So, only this weekend in the pub, somebody said to me, so what is the most lucrative form of writing, then, that I could potentially undertake? I've not been asked this before, so I thought about it for a little while, and I said, well, I'm not absolutely sure, but off the top of my head, maybe ransom notes would be a really, really good place to start. Thank you. So, rest assured, one of the things that I won't be exploring, because I'm unfortunately at that stage in my life now where the body doesn't actually do what the mind wants it to do, so my sporting hero dreams, unfortunately, are over. But one of the things that I find quite reassuring about that is that it's nice to see that my parents are sort of well ahead of me in that curve. So they're at the stage of their life now where they don't actually take the dog for a walk anymore, the dog takes them for a walk. So the last time my dad was telling me about this, he was saying, you know, the dog looks at me with a look on his face, and Dad's saying, I think we should go over to here, and the dog's sort of looking at him going, I'm going over that way. So he told me this, and I was sat in his nice warm house when I went to visit the other day, watching the dog drag him down the street, and I thought to myself, how would it be if dogs actually were in charge of us and were in charge of the world? And here's how I thought it would probably pan out. So day one, I think you'd probably come home from work and find out that the dog has exchanged your house for a massive, great big pile of food. I think by the end of week one, none of us would need to worry about the Greenbelt land and the government concreting over that anymore, because there'd be food mountains all over the Greenbelt as well. And by the end of the first month, I think we'd probably have all have eaten ourselves to death. But hey, there's worse ways to go, I think, isn't there? But thinking that through made me think to myself, well, sorry, I've just gone a little bit blank there. So yeah, that's not what it made me think to myself. It made me realise how, when I was a kid, how scared I used to be of death. And I was reminded of this when I was sat talking to my young goddaughter just the other day, and she said to me, you know, David, I'm quite scared of dying. And I said to her, well, I really wouldn't worry about it too much, Lauren, because actually, if you think about it, you have a near-death experience every night when you go to sleep. You're just not taking such a long-term investment in it. I don't have any kids myself. My mother was able to point out to me that this wasn't a particularly good way to go. So finally, I'll leave you with this last one. But this also got me thinking about my mum. And I said to my mum, you know, Mum, look, I think I'm probably gonna outlive you. And you know, I'm really, really not clear on what it is that you'd like to happen at the point where you die. You know, do you want to be buried, or maybe you'd like to be cremated? And she looked at me and she said, well, I don't know, it won't be my problem, so why don't you surprise me? So thank you very much.